passionate about and would like to see some improvement from.
Well, for one thing that I know here, this is why the traditional knowledge services was put together. This same building where we're at. This building, there was supposed to mandate for this building, it says it on that wall, to preserve who we are. What was supposed to be set here at this building, the traditional knowledge services, was to bring all the information here, get people here organized that are culture experts and teachers, that they develop the system for our community. Everything that has to do with the language, that has to do with our social departments, and how everything is structured through our own culture, and implement all those things. But nobody wants that. I don't know why. We're becoming people and we're saying we're becoming. How come we can't go back to use our system to set up everything, especially for who we are? Why do we always have to say, no, our Indian affairs this, the provincial government this? And have they any done good for us? No. So like I say, all these departments that work out, there's a lot of things that happen, and that's what really gets the people upset. Because all these reserve, at one time we were all collectively together, what they call akukatsin. Akukatsin is when we all gathered as people within the teepees. And I always try to explain this thing. All those teepees that are around in that circle, and the teepees that are inside, and the painted teepees. If you look at a university, in a university they have all those different places where you get taught about different things in the university. That's a template. We have that same template of ours. We just have to take that. If you took our template and put it over a university, well, we have all the same teachers that are all there to teach us the same thing, and that's how we basically survive. So that type of system is to say we work together collectively, no matter how harsh our way of life was, we survived. Because we had people that led us in what they call animocio. The people that were in leadership at the time, that were highly respected because each one of them had a military background that they went to. They had to prove to themselves to become a warrior, to be a leader, to be a chief, to be whatever. And not only that, on the side of it, the ceremonial people don't give advice. They pray for you. So whatever your mandate is going to be, well, they'll pray for it so it'll happen. They pray for when they say, "Akhtanisti," so that means it'll happen. So, but today, you know, with the departments of what we're faced with, we're all on silos. We're completely divided. The mandate of the government, what they wanted to do, was to divide and conquer. So now it has happened, we followed that same system because we're all so dedicated to the Indian Act. Everything that we're doing. So now we follow that system, now we have silos all over all the departments are all in silos. Sadly to say that, when one of the departments are hosting something, whatever they're hosting, it might be an awareness program or it might be a program, whatever they're hosting, well, it should be all the departments, no matter what it is, they should be contributing into the cause because it's for the benefit of the Picani nation. But no, it's like, no, it's mine, this is my silo. And I pick and choose who's going to come into this silo. So that trust has been broken amongst us. That trust. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to dissolve those silos, and we've got to be more fair in our hiring practices. We can't continue to be hiring our own families because there's other young people that are well educated that can sit in those departments and just as do a good job as anybody else. So we've got to tear down those walls.
Okay. There we go. One more.
Okay, just one more. I wanted to have more.
I was counting. All right. Oh. Okay. Are you willing to look at the election code and update it from its current format?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, here we go again. You know, that election code, the revolt, again, it's why do we keep following a not be God system? Why do we keep following the white man's rule book? And I keep saying our own ways, we have our own, just to let you know. We have our own election system in our Bigani Blackfoot culture, but nobody wants to explore it. Nobody wants to, it's right in front of us, nobody wants to take it off the shelf and shake it out and say, well, you know what? This election code, well, of course there's good things about it. We have to think modern too. We have to make that change too. But we got to bridge those gaps and give ourselves a chance to have some say into this election code so that things will be done more fairly. It'll string down all these other things that are causing all these other problems that we're facing. So not only that, with technology now, these things that I've kind of heard one of the candidates talk about, technology. Those kind of things have to change too. So there's a lot of homework that needs to be done. We have to take that and revisit it again with hopefully the new leadership that's going to get in. I hope they turn around and revisit some of those serious things. Because I say, if we're going to do election code, we've got to go back to who we are. Because we're not people to follow that. We're not white people to follow that. It works in their world, but it sure doesn't work in our world. And that's why I say we've got to go back to who we are, and we've got to quit thinking like them. We've got to start thinking about Kistunna, next day, each the big about who we are. If we're going to protect those younger children, we don't want to take the same system and continue to teach our younger generation to do it. What's going to happen? It'll just get worse and worse and worse by the time we get to the other end. So I think it has to be revisited again, and we have to take our ways and implement it in that system, so at least it helps to voice who we are. Because now it's one-sided. Everything that we do today is one-sided. Where are we? We don't have nothing. But when it's time for us to get upset with each other, we get upset with each other. We got to quit that. We got to learn to start to be humble and be nice to each other, regardless. So now with this election that's coming out now, you would just feel the negativity. Whereas before the election, still people waved at each other, still shook hands with each other, still said hello to each other. But today, people still drive down the road, don't even look at you, even though they know you. We can't do that anymore. We're all living here in this community. And now Bigwan can live someplace, he can just pack up his bags, and he'll move on to the next part of the world and start his life all over again. Here, we have to stay here. A lot of us, it's from day one, and we're still here. So we have to change all those things. We have to give a chance to hear one another out. Especially our elders are very limited now. And what the old people would say, listen to your elders. They live longer than you. They experienced life. They have a lot to offer. But no, some people I know more than you. Get out of the way, old people. I'm in charge today. No, that's the white man way. You're going to come back to say, well, I got good education. I have all this knowledge. Here, to God, to give to the elder. Here, give me the strength to make things happen for the community. Give me the guidance to do great things in life. So those kind of things, we have to go back to who we are. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the modern day education. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. We need it too. But like I said, we have to put ourselves first. We have to put our government system first. We have to have something here for us. We have to deep root ourselves. Really deep root ourselves. Because we don't want the government to come out and pull the roof from underneath our feet. Where are we going to go? We'll be all lined up. It's like what's happening down over by Mexico. Everybody's trying to come across.
20 seconds.
All trying to camp someplace together. Have nothing to eat. Our children will be starving. If we don't wake up to take control of who we are and what we are, we're in deep trouble. So I thank you all. Hope you guys had a good New Year. Thank you for this gathering. I mean, it really helps educate people, the people that are out there. Glad to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To give your introductions. Go ahead.
Anya. Okay, Nixu ko. Gusto na ko ka suat si tapito. Okay, amok si tu si tapito. Amok so kya. Amok sweet tapio ya. Ang next ko kini si tapio mi tu si stawas. Good afternoon. My name is Herman Many Guns. My Blackfoot name is sitting behind Eagle Tail. I come from the Bull Rush and or they call the cattail clan, not the house cattail, but I mean in our culture that's a very significant name that you're giving is becoming from your own clan. So that's where I'm from today. And the reason why I'm running, it took a long time to think about it. It wasn't a way that I could think that one day I'd say, well, I want to be a chief. No, it takes a long time to think about these things, issues. And everything that I followed was followed our traditional way of life, of Pikani. I followed that system. So I had to think about it for the future generation of our younger people. So one day I thought, it took me a lot of time to think and say, well, what do I do? Do I just walk away and be a self-centered person and only think about myself? Or do I come back because I was a previous leader and I had previous experience within politics already? And not only that, that's why I decided to run. And I followed all the traditional aspects of running for a chief. I went to my spiritual leaders. I asked them, this is the reason why I'm running. I'm planning to run. And they told me, they gave me the blessing to say, well, you followed all the proper protocols of our way of life. Go ahead and go out and support the people. So I am here for the people.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, so you can choose your first question. You'll be given 5 minutes to answer each question.
I'm just going to say these questions. Can I ask the same questions to the elders so they understand what I'm explaining?
Yeah.
I just asked them some of the questions that I'm going to be asked in our normal dominant society way of not people asked. I told them about who we are as Pikani people. Actually, speech at the pianist. So matapio aga kistana no ksake tsipo yo. Ago khtu sukut tapi tsipo amusu dasapo khitsi.
Okay. What are 3 big issues you hear continuously on this campaign trail?
Awan ya asapo khitsi sa amse New York sky. Asapo khitsi sa yan khaksis tsikui. Okay, kamus kay istai sinuts bi New York skiest. Matapio istai sinuts man khaksis tsikui. Sa kanis to tsikatu sa khaksis tsikui. So the question was given to me, and one of the main things are some of those really serious things about, everything we go back historically, from where we come from as Pikani. Things start going wrong at the beginning of our time, when we met the Napi flags. And not only that, things have never really worked out for us. All these things. So at the end of the day, it arrives to these 3 critical situations that happen on the reserve. One of the things, we lost who we are as Blackfoot people, Pikani people. First of all, we were told, as by our elders, Ekimotsi is one. But some of those laws we lost out. We're not very generous and helpful to each other anymore as family. Our ancestors, our great-grandparents, they're the ones that really taught us. You go visiting, they'll be invited to their house. You sit there and you listen to all these things, what the old people would say. So by that, we've lost that too. So one of the things today we do, one of the problems were we don't listen to each other anymore. Manata is one of the things that we do. So that's one of the issues too. The second thing I find that's really almost important too, when we were given our way of life, our spirituality was number one. We never overstepped Creator in the things that we do. He gave us everything that we asked for. And something now that has happened, we turned around, we opened the window, and we threw that out the window. Now, with that, without spirituality, everything that's causing all the problems that we have on our reserve, because we don't teach it anymore, and we don't practice that anymore. And that's why we lost all these things. So now it has gone further. There's a bunch of problems that lie with it. It goes right back to the time when we start being lied to by the governments. Not only that, when the residential schools came along, when we all keep moving along right to the 60s, school moved right along to where we're at today. We were hit in 1965, they opened liquor. That just killed off mass of our relatives and people. And not only that, now we're starting with marijuana, next thing in pills, and now we're in this addiction of this fentanyl stuff. I told them, look at all these problems that are alive. But there's solutions to those through our culture. So those are the kind of things we got to go back to who we are and what we are. It's already set for us. We're too quick to always be jumping on the white man's side. What failed us many times. We have to take control of who we are and all the things that we're doing. We got to teach the young people. Teach them all these aspects of who we are, what we are. That's the only way we're going to survive. Because if we don't go back to who we are, continue to follow the Nazi clubs, we're going to be going out a whole different direction. Our future generation will be lost. Again, sorry for taking long. 3 minutes. Oh, 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll take you to the next question.
And like I say, I was traditionally raised by the old people, so I know all the moral values about Mata. Just to let you know.
What kind of cultural implementations would you like to see during your tenure?
Oh, that's the right question to be asked. Well, I live and breathe my culture. And the thing is that if I have the opportunity, my ancestors sitting behind Eagle Tail, going right down to White Striped Dog, all the way down to my grandfather's father, Saukini, Nina Saukini, Patkakak in North Axe. I says Grassy Water. All these people were leaders of our people. And their system that they followed and they developed their governance system, we survived. But today, that we were so involved and everything was just kind of forced upon us. The Indian Act was first upon us. I says, all these things now, the provincial system is being put on to us. Now they even have something to simulate us today. They have a policy that's already on the table to simulate who we are. What we have to do, we have our own laws. If the government can set up their own Indian Act policy with their laws that were developed by the senators in Ottawa and handed down to us in 1876, if they could do that, and the province of people do the same thing, and where everything was already planned for us, that was given to us, was set out for us, all our spiritual laws, the universal laws, the laws of our nature, the nature of all these laws are there. What we have to do as Bikani people, we have to go back to our roots. Those laws are already there. There's nothing tricky about it. That's our foundation of who we are as Bikani people. What we have to do, everything in our culture, we have education in our culture, we have health in our culture, we have justice in our culture, we have our governance system in our culture. All those components are all in our culture. What we have to do is turn around and give everybody an opportunity. Give it back to Bikani. Some of our health systems are failing because we're listening to too much of the Indian Act, and we're being dictated by that. A lot of the services that we have here on the health part of it are not working because they want their way. We have to set up our own governance structure based on a foundation of who we are and build upon it and write it in a policy that we all vote on it and say, this is the way we're going to do things. Keep it open for the future generation, because if they're going to make those changes, they're allowed to make those changes for the betterment of them because of who we are as Pequotty people. Same way with the education system, with our justice system, our governance system. We have to go back to those roots and build our own. We will have a document of our own. We all vote for it, and that's how we're going to do things. On the economic side, look how many times have we lost. The bus stopped. We argued and bickered amongst each other. Pretty soon the bus moves away, and we lose out on these opportunities. But if we develop our own political system, our own policies that drive us, the bylaws that we're going to do, and we all stamp them, now we have a process and the things that outlines it in the policy, step by step, and how we're going to have a project put together and become feasible for all the people and the young people to use. Because if we don't do that, we continue following the province, continue following the federal government, I guarantee we'll never get anywhere. We have to go back to everything is in front of us. It doesn't take rocket science to put it together. We have a bunch of well-educated people today that can help us put all that stuff. We have cultured people, we have our elders that have all that knowledge to put it together and say, here's our document. And that's something in the future I want to see. I'm tired of everybody fighting amongst each other. Every time we're going to do something, everybody's tear it all to pieces, but it's going to end up with nothing. And we're not satisfied. And guess who's listening to us? Our children. When we're talking about all these problems, those ones on the floor are while we're sitting around the table talking about it, those little guys are listening. And we're passing on those things that are not right for our children. We should be saying the right things to our children because they're going to be our future leaders in the near future. Because whatever they learn in your house and what you're talking about, they act it out when they go to school. And it causes problems in the school. And those kind of things, we don't want that to happen. We want to secure our future. We want to have strong people. From going back to the Treaty of 1877, beyond that point, those people thought of us. They thought of who we were. Today, that's why we're here. We've got to take those same values, pick those up, and teach them to our young people. Our education system over there, all about what's happening in our community. That should be part of their social studies curriculum over there. We should have some say to that teaching curriculum, not just the province.
10 seconds.
Okay. But like I say, we have to teach our grade 10s, the ones that are ready to graduate. We should be teaching about what's happening here. Why are those buildings here? We start teaching what this is for, what's that for, what did it cost, what's the purpose of all this. And we've got to be open to our community. Thank you. I feel like a runaway train.
Okay, next question is there a possibility that we can see a long-term elders care facility within Pequotty within the next 10 years? How would you go about providing this service?
Well, the thing is that we have to plan. We have to have a structure. We have to have a governance structure that lays out all these things. Well, of course, we can do a 5-year plan, we can do a 10-year plan, but those plans are so important. Now, when you get into leadership, I was in leadership before, you are going to get bombarded with everything but everything. When you're in leadership, there's every issue that's going to come up. It depends on what portfolio you hold, but you're going to have stacks and stacks of stuff that you've got to sort out through. And at the same time, your people are going to be coming to you, requesting this. It just all of a sudden becomes so overwhelming about things like that. So when we're talking about planning, every council that gets into office, you know, they seem like they could want to take care of everything but everything, and they want to have solutions to solutions. It's totally impossible. What I see today, we have to develop a planning office. This planning office is the ones that's going to have to hire people to go in there. There are ways of getting money to hire a person that's qualified in planning, not only using our historical part of who we are as Bicani people, because that's the foundation, and to build this planning that works directly with all these departments, and not only that, with all their funding, everything that comes together with their funding. These people that work in this planning office, they in turn are the ones that's going to dissect everything in that office. And they're going to come up with feasible plans. First plan, second plan, third plan. That way it makes the system even a lot more easier as it comes to leadership. Because on those plans that you're talking about, a 10-year plan, like on one plan that I see here is the governance structure of our plan. We have to build it. What we have to tell Indian Affairs, before you simulate us, you're going to have to give us a chance to develop a document that governs ourselves through our way of life. And it's going to take time. It's not going to take this term. It's going to take a long time before that document is even finished, because we want everybody's input. Because everybody is so important. The people are the power. They're the ones that make the changes. The power goes back to you, but on this side, they're just representatives. But the people out there have to be all told those questions. Well, what do you think about this? And it's going to be a massive campaign if we want that to work. Once the document and it's stamped by who we are as Bicani people, then we move forward. We have to prove to the government that that document that we're putting together is working for us. We have to set a track record for ourselves to prove to them that this document that we put together, our governance document that we put together, is going to work for us. Because those are some of the 10-year plans that we're going to be going. Because if we don't develop our own rule book, we're going to continue repeating this term after term after term. So that's what I said. How do you?
Sorry, we just had a technical difficulty.
Maybe they didn't record all that.
Yeah, we have recording, so that's good.
Let me just straight Dave.
So we have two. We have the phone that I was recording on, and that died.
Oh.
But we have the camera as well as the backup, so we'll be posting those later on today.
Well, they say there are some batteries. Good.
They,
Oh, you put them on? Yeah, sorry about that.
oh no, we're sorry. My phone died.
Like I say, we all have to work strongly together while we still have our elders. Because at one time, our elders, there was a whole bunch of them. And there was a lot of young people. Now it's reversed the other way. We've got small groups of elders now. They're almost all gone. And they're a big group of young people. And all the things that are in there. We have to change that dynamics.
What kind of support for our departments and managers can you see throughout your tenure? Is there a specific department that you are particularly passionate